You are lying in bed right now, or you will be soon. The room is dark. Your body is tired. But your mind will not stop moving. You will scroll for another 20 minutes telling yourself this is rest. It is not. And the real answer for why you cannot switch off is far stranger than stress or screens. It goes back almost 200,000 years, to a version of you that knew something you have completely forgotten. Start with a simple fact. Your body was not built for the life you are living. It was built for a different rhythm entirely, one shaped by sunlight, distance, and other people. Somewhere along the way that rhythm got interrupted. Not replaced. Interrupted. The old programming is still running underneath everything you do. You just stop listening to it. Take sleep first, because sleep is where the disconnect shows up loudest. In 2015, sleep researcher Jerome Siegel studied 3 hunter-gatherer and forager societies that still live without electricity, the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. He expected to find people sleeping longer than modern humans, since they have no artificial light stealing their nights. He found the opposite. They slept about the same amount as you do, sometimes less. But they almost never napped, they rarely reported insomnia, and their sleep was tightly locked to temperature, not to clocks or alarms. They fell asleep as the air cooled after sunset and woke as it warmed before sunrise. Their bodies were reading the world. Yours is reading a screen. Here is the part that should unsettle you. Your body still has that same temperature reading system built in. It never left. When you dim the lights and cool the room at night, you are not creating a modern sleep hack. You are recreating the only environment your biology has ever actually trusted. Everything else, the bright bedroom, the blue light, the room that never cools, is static. Noise your ancestors never had to filter out. No wonder you lie there wired. Your body is waiting for a signal that never comes. Now go back further, before beds, before villages, before anything you would recognize as a home. Go back to a body that moved constantly, not for exercise, but because movement was simply what living looked like. Anthropologist Herman Pontzer spent years measuring the actual energy expenditure of the Hadza using doubly labeled water, a method that tracks real calories burned in real bodies, not estimates. His findings surprised the entire field. Hadza adults walk far more than the average Westerner, hunting, gathering, carrying water, covering miles almost every single day. And yet their total daily energy expenditure was nearly identical to people living sedentary lives in wealthy countries. Their bodies had adapted. They spent less energy on background processes like stress and inflammation, and redirected it into movement instead. Movement was not a workout. It was the resting state. Think about what that means for you. Your ancestors' bodies expected motion the way your lungs expect air. When you sit for 10 hours and then feel restless, foggy, low, that is not weakness. That is a body asking for something it was promised. You inherited a machine built to move through the world, and you are running it standing still. But the deepest thing your ancestors knew, the thing you have forgotten most completely, was not about sleep or movement at all. It was about people. For most of human history, you did not survive alone. You survived because of a small, tightly bonded group who knew you, checked on you, and would notice if you disappeared. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying the size and structure of human social bonds, and proposed that the human brain evolved to comfortably manage close relationships with only around 150 people, a number now widely known as Dunbar's number. Inside that circle were smaller, tighter layers, 5 people you would trust with your life, 15 you would call close friends. That structure was not a preference. It was survival architecture. Here is the strange part. You now have hundreds, sometimes thousands, of digital connections. And you have never felt more alone. Because quantity was never the point. Your ancestors did not need 1,000 followers. They needed 5 people who would come looking for them. Somewhere along the way, the number went up and the depth went down, and your nervous system, still running ancient software, noticed the difference even when your conscious mind did not. So picture an early human evening, because it tells you almost everything. The sun drops. The air cools. There is no debate about whether to keep working, because there is no artificial way to keep working. People gather. They talk not about tasks but about the day, about each other, about stories passed down so many times they have become part of who they are. Bodies are tired from real movement, not decision fatigue. And then, when the temperature drops enough, sleep comes on its own without negotiation. Now compare that to your evening. Light that refuses to dim. A body that barely moved. A feed of hundreds of people you will never actually sit with. No signal telling your mind the day is over, so it simply keeps running, waiting for a stop cue that modern life forgot to send. You are not broken. That is the part worth sitting with. You are not failing at rest, or failing at connection, or failing at calm. You are a 200,000-year-old design operating inside an environment built in the last 200. The gap between those two timelines is where your exhaustion actually lives. And here is the twist most people never consider. Ancient humans were not calmer because life was easier. Their lives were harder, shorter, more physically demanding, more dangerous in almost every measurable way. They were calmer because their environment was still speaking the same language their bodies were built to understand. Darkness meant rest. Movement meant purpose. A small circle of people meant safety. The signal and the biology matched. Yours often do not. So what do you actually do with this? Not everything, because you cannot undo electricity or move into the forest tomorrow. But you can start closing small gaps between signal and biology. Let the room cool and darken before you expect to sleep. Let your body move through the day instead of sitting through it. Choose 5 real conversations over 500 surface ones. None of this is a hack. It is a memory. You are simply reminding a very old system that you are still listening. Because that is really what this comes down to. Somewhere inside you is a version of yourself that already knows how to rest, how to move, how to belong. It has known for 200,000 years. It has been waiting patiently through every scroll, every sleepless hour, every crowded, lonely feed, for you to remember what it never forgot. Tonight, when you lie in bed again, the room too bright, your mind still moving, notice it. That restlessness is not a flaw. It is a message sent from a much older version of you, still trying to reach the one you have become.